नवी मुंबई के जवाहरलाल नेहरू पोर्ट अथॉरिटी में आज भारत और सिंगापुर के बीच उच्च स्तरीय लीडर्स डायलॉग आयोजित हुआ, जिसका केंद्र बिंदु रहा ग्रीन एंड डिजिटल मैरीटाइम कॉरिडोर की दिशा में सहयोग और क्रियान्वयन। यह एक कार्यक्रम भारत मैरीटाइम वीक 2025 से पहले आयोजित किया गया, जिसमें स्मार्ट पोर्ट्स, हरित जहाज और डिजिटल लॉजिस्टिक पर चर्चा हुई। मार्च 2025 में सिंगापुर में हुए समझौते पत्र को आगे बढ़ाते हुए दोनों देशों के प्रतिनिधियों ने पायलट प्रोजेक्ट्स और तकनीकी साझेदारी पर विचार साझा किया। सिंगापुर के डिप्टी प्रधानमंत्री गन किम योंग ने कहा, भारत के साथ मिलकर हम एक ऐसा कॉरिडोर बना रहे हैं जो वैश्विक स्तर पर टिकाऊ और स्मार्ट शिपिंग का मॉडल बन सकता है। कार्यवाहक परिवहन मंत्री जेफरी सियो ने इसे भविष्य उन्मुख बंदरगाहों और मजबूत सप्लाई चेन के प्रति साझा प्रतिबद्धता बताया। केंद्रीय मंत्री सर्बानंद सोनोवाल ने वीडियो संदेश में कहा, प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में भारत सिंगापुर संबंधों ने नई ऊंचाई हासिल की है। जेएनपीटी का बीएमसीटी टर्मिनल्स इस साझेदारी का प्रतीक है। मुख्यमंत्री देवेंद्र फडणवीस ने कहा, यह दौरा महाराष्ट्र और सिंगापुर के संबंधों को और गहरा करेगा। बीएमसीटी टर्मिनल जेएनपीए की कंटेनर हैंडलिंग क्षमता का 50% हिस्सा संभालना है। शिपिंग सचिव टीके रामचंद्रन ने कहा, यह कॉरिडोर वैश्विक समुद्री सततता का ब्लूप्रिंट है। संयुक्त सचिव आर लक्ष्मण ने बताया, एलओआई एक जीवंत दस्तावेज है जिसे औपचारिक समझौते में बदला जाएगा। जेएनपीए और तुआस पोर्ट के बीच पायलट प्रोजेक्ट्स की योजना है। जेएनपीए चेयरपर्सन उमेश वाघ ने कहा, हम हरित अवसंरचना और डिजिटल प्रणालियों में निवेश कर रहे हैं। बीएमसीटी फेज 2 और एनएसएफटी के साथ हमारी क्षमता 10.4 मिलियन TEU से अधिक हो जाएगी। उन्होंने वधावन पोर्ट को भारत की समुद्री दिशा का अगला स्तंभ बताया है। मैरीटाइम वीक के दौरान जेएनपीए एक ग्रीन शिपिंग इनोवेशन की मेजबानी करेगा, जिसमें भारत सिंगापुर की संयुक्त तकनीकियों को प्रदर्शित होगी और मजबूती मिलेगी।
Excellencies, Shri Devendra Fadnavis, Chief Minister of Maharashtra, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for hosting Deputy Prime Minister Gan Kim Yong and I for today's event. Very happy to be here at the Indian Maritime Week, and of course for the opportunity to speak to all of you at the Leaders Dialogue. Deputy Prime Minister and I were at the PSA Bharat Mumbai Container Terminal just this morning, I think, yes. We just flew in today, so a little bit confused about the time. But as you saw in the video, it's a remarkable development, remarkable achievement. It is something that was planned a very long time ago, and I was sharing with the Chief Minister that it takes a government of remarkable foresight, leadership, in order to be able to achieve a project of this scale and immensity today. In fact, Chief Minister had laid the first foundation stone for the terminal in the year 2013. And for it to be what it is today shows the remarkable energy, the dedication to making things happen through COVID, through a pandemic, if we all remember. So we were very happy to be there, to be able to see the project come to completion. And in fact, the first stage of the growth, the key cranes will be coming, and soon the operations will be ongoing. And we were very happy, of course, to have a Singapore company like PSA International to work with Indian counterparts to achieve this mutual success. We have in fact seen many joint ventures and partnerships between PSA as well as the Container Corporation of India just last year to provide end-to-end logistics services. Likewise, there have been many Indian companies such as Tata Group and Tolani that have ventured into Singapore to explore opportunities in the region. And there's many more that we can talk about. Specifically on the transport front, we have deep long-standing relations. As my colleague from the Ministry of Ports and Shipping and Waterways said just now, India and Singapore share a very deep maritime history. And as a result, we have been working on many projects in the maritime sector. Our governments have been working closely, both bilaterally and at multilateral platforms such as the International Maritime Organization. And this year is a very important and significant year for us because we are enhancing our collaboration through signing a Memorandum of Understanding on the Singapore-India Green and Digital Shipping Corridor. It's a not so nice short form, GDSC MOU, but it stands for the Singapore-India Green and Digital Shipping Corridor. And under this MOU, both countries will work closely with interested industry partners to explore opportunities to develop supply chains for low emissions maritime fuels. And this would include training requirements for seafarers to handle such fuels. Both countries will also explore facilitating digital information exchange, which will enable more efficient port clearance and facilitate the flow of vessels between Singapore and India. This collaboration builds on the synergies between India and Singapore. India, as we all know, is a leading player in many things, but especially in information technology. And India has been working on becoming a major producer and exporter of green marine fuel. Singapore is well positioned, not as big as India, but we are positioned to be the world's largest bunkering and transshipment port with a dynamic research and innovation ecosystem in green marine fuel. And I'm confident that both India and Singapore will complement each other, and both the businesses and startups in both countries will prosper together. Since signing the letter of intent in April this year during the Singapore Maritime Week, officials from both India and Singapore governments have been working tirelessly on this MOU, and I look forward to the conclusion of this MOU by both our Prime Ministers in September this year when they meet. The MOU gives us a platform for both countries to work closely together. There will be more to come. Singapore looks forward to further cooperation with India in the areas of transport, maritime, and of course that will serve as the foundation for economic development and people-to-people ties. Thank you very much.
Namaskar. Good afternoon to everybody. Respected Gan Kim Yang, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, respected Sri Devendra Fadnavis ji, Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra, respected Jeffrey Seo, Acting Transport Minister of Singapore, it is a great honor and privilege to welcome His Excellency the Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore and his delegation to Jawaharlal Nehru Port Authority, India's premier container port. Your presence today at JNPA reflect the vibrancy of our partnership and the deep and enduring commitment between our two nations. I extend to you a very warm welcome on behalf of the Ministry of Port Shipping Waterways and the people of India. I also heartfully welcome the dynamic and visionary Chief Minister of Maharashtra for joining us at the Leaders' Dialogue at JNPA. Much as I would have loved to join the distinguished gathering today, unfortunately, due to an unavoidable parliamentary exigency, I am unable to be with you. The change of plan is deeply regretted. I am certain that the address today from our distinguished dignitaries will be enlightening for our many international delegates, business leaders, entrepreneurs, policymakers, and media friends. Dear delegates, India and Singapore share a strong and multifaceted partnership rooted in mutual respect, shared values, and a common vision for prosperity. Under the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji, our bilateral relations have expanded across sectors. Connectivity forms an important pillar of this bilateral partnership. I had the privilege of visiting Singapore myself earlier this year for the Singapore Maritime Week, an enriching opportunity to engage with global maritime leaders and reaffirm our shared commitment to sustainable growth. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge and appreciate PSA International investment in Bharat Mumbai container terminals. At JNPA, BMCT exemplifies our shared vision to build modern, world-class port infrastructure. It is an example of reform-led growth model that India pursues and reflects the confidence that global partners like Singapore place in India's economic resilience and growth potential. Building on the partnership, earlier this year, India and Singapore signed a letter of intent to establish a green and digital shipping corridor. This initiative will accelerate the adoption of low-emission technologies, strengthen digital integration, and drive innovation in maritime operation. You can truly see the magic of skill and scale once the corridor develops. The Government of India is fully committed to facilitating long-term foreign investment in maritime and logistics sector. Our pro-investment policies anchored in PM Gati Shakti and the National Logistic Policy are designed to create seamless multimodal connectivity, reduce logistic cost, and improve ease of doing business. I invite our Singaporean partners to explore new opportunities in India's growing logistic and port ecosystem. The time is ripe for deeper collaboration. I would also like to take this opportunity to extend a warm invitation to His Excellency the Deputy Prime Minister and his delegation for the inaugural ceremony of India Maritime Week 2025, which will be held in Mumbai from October 27, 2025. This prestigious event in one of the most important maritime capitals of the world will bring together key stakeholders from the global maritime community to discuss and explore opportunities for collaboration, innovation, and growth in the sector. Your esteemed presence would be an honor and a significant contribution to strengthening maritime ties between India and Singapore. Once again, I express my sincere gratitude to Deputy Prime Minister Gan, Minister Jeffrey Seo, visiting delegates from Singapore and the PSA group for your commitment to India. We deeply value this partnership and will extend all possible support to ensure your continued success. I also thank the Honorable Chief Minister of Maharashtra for giving strength to our program today with his presence and for the deep partnership between Government of India and Government of Maharashtra towards realizing the vision of Maritime Amrit Kal Vision 2047. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore, Mr. Gan Kim Yong, Honorable Minister of Transport, Singapore, Mr. Jeffrey Seow, Mr. T.K. Ramachandran, Secretary Ports, Government of India, Mr. Unmesh Wagh, Chairman JNPA, Mr. Lakshmanan, Joint Secretary Ports, all the dignitaries present here, dear friends. At the very outset, I would like to welcome His Excellency the Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore and the entire delegation to this beautiful city of Mumbai, which is a financial, commercial and entertainment capital of India. And I'm sure that your visit will deepen the ties between India and Singapore and also Maharashtra and Singapore. This morning, after His Excellency's arrival, we visited the new PSA terminal at JNPA. And I must thank the PSA and also the government of Singapore for creating such a state-of-art terminal, which is now totally ready for inauguration. And I'm sure that soon we will witness both the Prime Ministers inaugurating this beautiful terminal, which will add to the maritime power of India. As we all know that now this terminal will account for 50% of the container handling capacity of JNPA, and that will bring a boost to the global trade of India. Having said that, I am very happy that today India and Singapore are collaborating in diverse fields, in the field of maritime trade, maritime infrastructure, in the field of digitization, in the field of data center, in the field of logistics. We just witnessed one such MOU with the maple tree, and after this program, in another program, we are again will be witnessing few more such MOUs. And I think this is not only bringing the two economies closer, but it is also opening doors for many more such collaborations in future. And today, as we are deliberating on green and digital maritime corridors, I think this collaboration is very important to create this entire ecosystem of green and digital maritime corridor. All of us know that India also has a very rich maritime history, and we all know that the Chol Empire was world maritime power at that time. And we have also seen in the world history that the world trade is always dominated by the maritime superpowers. And that is why the entire maritime business is very important. In fact, all of us know that Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, the great king from Maharashtra, the great king of India, was one who understood the power of maritime business and maritime security. And today, the entire western coast, which we see where the JNPA port is also situated, is safe and is ready for business only because of the vision of our King Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. And I would say that in the 21st century, it is our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji who has understood that for India's growth, the maritime infrastructure will be very important, and he spearheaded this entire maritime revolution in India by creating the Amrutkal Maritime Vision 2047. Our Prime Minister aims to make India one of the biggest player in the maritime space, and aligned to his vision, the government of Maharashtra has also planned many initiatives to actually be part of this Amrutkal vision. We are also creating a maritime vision for the state of Maharashtra, whereby the immediate vision document will be our goals up to 2029, our intermediate goals will be up to 2035, and then ultimately up to 2047. And I am sure that in days to come, Maharashtra will play pivotal role in this entire reshaping of the maritime infrastructure and maritime ecosystem in India. I am very happy that now we are also building the Vadhavan port, which will be not just India's biggest port, but which will be one amongst the 10 big ports of the world from the day one. I am very happy that the chairman JNPA port has promised us that the building of this port will be achieved in time. I think this port is actually, it will take Maharashtra and India to another league, and it will make us a maritime superpower. But as we rightly say that in today's world, what matters most is sustainability and efficiency. And I think in the maritime sector also, now that we are focusing more on sustainability, like creating green corridors, like creating new efficient fuels, and India is also leading the way. Along with the Singapore, we have already charted MOU, and both the countries will collaborate with each other for creating new green corridors, for exchanging the new technologies, for exporting the green fuel technologies, and I am sure that it will be beneficial for both the countries. And today, India has grown its digital infrastructure many-fold. And I think the initiatives like e-Samudra, where lot of digitization has gone into the maritime services, it is also creating efficiencies in the entire maritime trade. I think all the initiatives which are taken up by the government of India in the maritime sector, especially to use all the digital technologies, will bring a lot of efficiencies and will also create India's new supply chains for the world. And I am sure in this entire journey, we have the government of Singapore as our most trusted friend, and that's why I would like to thank the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister and the Honorable Minister for being our partners And I feel that this partnership will not just be restricted at the JNPA, but it will also be taken forward to the Vadhavan port, where we'll again create a very efficient terminal and will witness one more MOU in this sector. I would like to thank our Ministry of Shipping, the JNPA port, and all the authorities for organizing this dialogue. And once again, from Government of Maharashtra and also from my friend and the Union Minister, Shri Sarbanand Sonowal ji, who could not come here, I would once again like to welcome you. I hope that your trip will be very fruitful. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
Excellencies, Sri Devendra Fadnavis, Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Mr. Gobu Salaya, Director of PSA, Managing Director of PSA India, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. First, let me thank you for inviting me to the India Maritime Week. This is a very important event, and today's topic is also very relevant on the green and digital maritime corridors. As all of us know, we are facing a fundamental existential challenge of a climate change. And this climate change is a global challenge, and it requires collective effort from everyone to contribute towards a more sustainable future. At the same time, digitalization is also another mega trend that's changing the world. With the advent of digitalization, and now with AI and even Gen AI, I think this will become a key tool to allow companies and enterprises to transform and transit towards a more sustainable future, but also allow them to be more efficient, more productive, more competitive. So I think green and digital maritime corridors are very important, and all of us must do our part to transit towards a more sustainable future. And in this regard, Singapore and India are working on a MOU on developing a green and digital shipping corridor. I think this is our contribution towards a more sustainable maritime sector. And PSA is in a leadership position in charting the path forward for a more sustainable shipping industry. It is my pleasure this morning to visit PSA's newly completed Bharat Mumbai Container Terminal Phase 2. This investment is a very significant investment, but it is also a testament to the strong and enduring partnership between PSA Group and India, and between India and Singapore. As you know, we are celebrating or marking our 60th anniversary of bilateral diplomatic relationship between Singapore and India. And thank you. And this investment, as well as many other investments that we have made in India, reflects these strong ties between India and Singapore. And we hope we will continue to grow this partnership. Phase 1 of the project is a good demonstration of how world-class port operations can benefit India by enhancing efficiency, reducing turnaround time, and boosting competitiveness for India's exporters and importers. Phase 2 builds on this success and doubles the capacity of the terminal to 2.4 million TEUs from 2.4 million TEUs to 4.8 million TEUs. This will make BMCT the largest standalone container terminal in India. This terminal also represents a new milestone in PSA's journey in India. Over almost 3 decades, PSA has invested a total of $2.3 billion in India, of which more than half is in BMCT. The success of BMCT demonstrates how Singapore companies can contribute to India's growth and development. Especially at a time of significant volatility in the global trading environment, ports like BMCT play a critical role in keeping trade flowing and economies growing. This expansion will not only boost regional trade, but also create significant employment opportunities for the local population. As Singapore and India celebrates our 60 years of bilateral relations, there is room for us to do more in strengthening and deepening our collaboration, particularly in the maritime sector. Indeed, maritime connectivity is a key focus under the connectivity pillar of the India-Singapore Ministerial Roundtable. Besides port operations, Singapore companies have been active across India's maritime landscape in areas such as shipbuilding, renewable energy, and green shipping solutions. Through the ISMR, we seek to find new avenues to deepen our partnership further. For example, as I mentioned, both Singapore and India are working on the MOU to develop a green and digital shipping corridor. This will in turn accelerate the shift of our maritime sector towards greener solutions and smarter routing. Beyond our maritime and connectivity sectors, Singapore and India share deep and broad economic ties across many areas. Our comprehensive economic cooperation agreement, signed almost 2 decades ago, laid a foundation for growing trade and investment flows between our two countries. Today, Singapore is one of India's largest sources of foreign direct investment. In particular, there are many Singapore companies in Maharashtra across different sectors such as infrastructure and urban solutions, logistics and connectivity, banking and finance, as well as consumer services. I'm very happy to note that the MOU that have just been signed and exchanged between Mapletree Investments and the government of Maharashtra in industrial and logistics and warehousing development. These will further strengthen the network of win-win partnerships between Singapore and Maharashtra. And once again, I would like to congratulate PSA, our Indian partners, and the tireless port workers who have enabled BMCT to become the success it is today. I'm confident that Phase 2 will enable BMCT to further enhance India's maritime connectivity and contribute to the growth and prosperity of India's businesses and workers in the decades to come. Thank you.
Countries who release the annual booklet about the tariff and everything according to the port laws. So India is also planning to release that kind of booklet for the tariff, because tariff is the really trending topic in these days in India.
It's called the schedule of rates. So it's already there. The tariff is already released upfront. We already do that on our website, and now we have come up with what is called a standard template for the schedule of rates, so that all the ports follow a common template. So people don't have a problem when they move from one port to the other, trying to understand different types of templates. So we've prescribed a common template.
Just to congratulations to all of you all for the bill passing, 5 bills passed. But I wanted to know, sir, this leader dialogue on green and digital maritime, the seminar or the discussion we had, what do you think was the takeaway for the ministry from this discussion about leadership dialogue?
So one of the key things is international partnerships, international cooperation. So this, I think, would be one of the key takeaways, as we heard from the speakers in the morning panel discussion, where we saw examples from other parts of the world, what DP World had quoted, or the Port of Rotterdam had explained. So that would be one key takeaway, and also to build the right infrastructure in terms of the participating countries. And another key thing would be the establishment of digital infrastructure where information flow can happen seamlessly. And another would be governance and the regulatory agencies collaborating and aligning. So these 4 things, I think, would be the key aspects that we would we need to work on if we have to really ground these corridors. Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
जहाँ तक सवाल है JNPA और वाडवन के डीप का, अपने क्षेत्र में अपने पूरे देश में कैसा है कि they want to ask, you want to ask कि the depth, deep draft port, how many you have in the India? So कसं आहे की जे बल्क पोर्ट आहे ते आपल्याकडे 20 पेक्षा जास्त खोलीचे आहेत. पारादीप आहे, कांडलामध्ये पण मिळून जाते. विजिंगजम जो पोर्ट आहे तो ट्रान्सशिपमेंट पोर्ट आहे, त्यालाही खोली 18 पेक्षा जास्त आहे. परंतु कंटेनर पोर्ट ज्याला 18 मीटरपेक्षा जास्त खोली लागेल, कारण की त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त खोलीची गरज लागत नाही, कारण की त्याच्यापेक्षा जास्त खोलीच्या आता शिप्स बनत नाही, वाईड बनत आहेत. तशी जी खोली आहे ती आपल्या भारतात किनाऱ्याजवळ फार कमी आहे, ती वाढवणलाच आहे आणि वाढवणच्या आसपास 5 ठिकाणी आहे. त्याच्यात बेस्ट वाढवणला आहे, त्याच्यामुळे आपण तो वाढवण निवडला आहे. तसेच आता एक प्लॅन जो गलाथिया बी आहे त्या अंदमान निकोबारमध्ये, तिथे सुद्धा आता ईस्टला वेस्टला एक झाला ट्रान्सशिपमेंट पोर्ट, म्हणजे जो विजिंजम. आता ईस्टला तसाच ट्रान्सशिपमेंट पोर्ट व्हावा म्हणून गलाथिया पोर्ट जो पोर्ट आहे तो बनतोय. तर त्याचा पण तो 14वा मेजर पोर्ट झाला आहे, जसा वाढवण 13वा.
Thank you everyone for your valuable time and presence and making this event successful. Thank you once again.
And mega ports, then green shipping and green ports, digitalization and so on. And during the last Global Maritime India Summit, almost 10 lakh worth crores of MOUs were signed, a lot of investments were made, and several countries, more than 50 countries participated. So this gave a fillip to this ministry over the last couple of years to work really hard at translating the vision into reality. And I'm glad to tell you that several things have happened in the last 2 years, and some of which I will highlight, some of which you might already know. And like you know, for instance, as far as ports are concerned, we have the Vadavan port, which was for which the foundation stone was laid by the Honorable Prime Minister last year, and काम बहुत जल्दी चल रहा है, and hopefully in another few years, I think 28 is the date being looked at. So that port will add 300 million tons of annual capacity. It will be 10th large, among the 10th large ports in the world, and will double our container handling capacity from 22 million TEUs to about 45 million or so. So this is just one example. Similarly, I have the happy news that while we were in this session this afternoon, the Lok Sabha has passed the Indian Ports Bill. So that was the final of the 5 bills that we were spearheading during this session of the Parliament. So the Merchant Shipping Bill, the Indian Ports Bill, the Coastal Shipping Bill, the Carriage of Goods by Sea Bill, and of course the Bills of Lading Bill. तो 5 bills जो है इस लोकसभा और राज्यसभा में हम लोगों ने पास किया. So among the 13 bills, this was the highest, the ministry with the highest number of bills, and it's a landmark event in the history of the ministry. So of course we are thankful to all those who made this possible. But this is just one example of the kind of transformation that is taking place in the shipping sector, shipping, ports and maritime sector. And the other thing is, of course, the other pillars, apart from the port sector, where I just spoke about the legal reforms, there are institutions that have been created for the benefit of the growth of this sector. And that includes, apart from new ports, it includes centers of excellence across the country in digital, in green, in international cooperation, and in inland waterways. And the latest is one on digitalization. So these are centers of excellence which have been set up. New organizations like the Indian Ports and Ropeways Corporation Limited, IPRCL, has been created, the IPGL, to run our ports in other countries like Myanmar or Iran has been created, and several fora like the Maritime, the States Development Council, the Inland Waterways Development Council, etc., have been created so that it fosters more of interaction between states, both maritime states as well as waterway states. Similarly, on the as far as growth is concerned, from about 2,600 million tons, from about 1,600 million tons 10 years back, now we are at about 2,700 million tons of capacity, which makes us one of the biggest, largest shipping countries in the world, cargo, in terms of cargo capacity. Cargo also has increased from about 800 million tons per annum to about 1,600 million tons. So everywhere, so port sector there is growth, coastal shipping there is growth, inland waterways, it just used to be about 18 million tons a few years in 2014. Now it is 145 million tons. So inland waterways पे भी काफी growth हुआ है. And then finally, the shipping sector में these, apart from these landmark legislations, we have had several other important announcements which took place in the last budget. जो बजट जनवरी में पेश किया गया, उसमें there was the three schemes which were announced. The first was the Maritime Development Fund at 25,000 crores. The second was the Shipbuilding Financial Assistance Scheme 2.0. And the third was the maritime clusters and shipbuilding clusters in the country. Apart from declaring shipping as an infrastructure, which will lead to greater assistance to this sector. So these again are things that have been long sought by the industry, maybe decades, and finally these have happened, and again it augurs well for the sector. So in this context, it is in this context that we are holding the GMIS after 2 years, and which better place to hold it than Mumbai? All of you are Mumbaikars, so Mumbai is the center, the capital. And which other port to speak about it than JNPA, being one of the leading ports or the leader. यहाँ लिखा है India's best performing port, ताकि हम भूल ना पाएं कि इनका port best performing port है, सच में है. तो we are sitting here on the stage in the best performing port and talking about the GMIS in a city which is the biggest, grandest city of India. And this forum, the GMIS, is going to be a forum where people from across the world, we are expecting people around 1 lakh attendees. There will be exhibitions, there will be huge number of stalls, there will be a lot of discussions, networking, sessions, and it is going to be an India Maritime Week. It is not a Global Maritime India Summit will be just 2-3 days, but the India Maritime Week एक पूरा सप्ताह चलेगा, like Singapore Maritime Week, London में होता है, some other places होता है. So the idea was that over this week we have several events, including the Sagar Manthan, which is a policy dialogue, and then we have what are the other conferences? Green Maritime, Digital Maritime, काफी conferences. Corridors will happen around during this week. So our idea is to launch, and we are also thankful to the government of Maharashtra for having agreed to host this event here and for having agreed to be partner state, host state for this event. And they have given us a lot of help. I'd like to on this occasion thank them and for the excellent support and cooperation that they've given us. So these are broadly things that have happened in the shipping, ports and waterway sector and about the GMIS. More details if you want we can add. I think broadly this is about it. Okay, thank you.
So we can take few questions. Can we have the mic in the audience? Can we have the mic in the front row? Can we have the mic in the front row here, please?
Has the pace of port monetization slowed down? Because not many projects are now, coming on stream for tender and all that. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct, because actually with 80,000 crores worth of monetization happening, so that's also PPP, right? Whatever.
That has not yet come on stream, but
No, it's happening. So the ham is going ahead full steam, and we have, I think, approved almost, I think, 10 or 12 projects in the last 6 months. So across the ports, the PPP is happening. Berth mechanization and
Currently, sir, just to add, I think that we should be having, apart from Vadhavan, more than close to 20,000 crores worth of PPP projects which are currently in different stages of tendering. And with the new budget announcement, we are working with DA also. Like, we have submitted a pipeline of PPP projects close to 1 lakh crores over the next 4 years. So there's a robust pipeline. The way it has been happening, I think it will gain more momentum.
actually gain more momentum is the word I would use. Yeah.
what about that? I was asking, there is this issue about migration of existing terminal operators to the new market-based regime. Any visibility on that?
Yes, it is in final stages of deliberation, and so we are expecting to see something happen within the next 1 month.
Okay, any other questions from you? Yeah.
So hello, this is Snehal from ANI. So this bill will replace 117 years old Port Act, if I am not wrong. Then what innovations will we get to know, and what we can witness in this bill?
So the new bill which is currently passed by Lok Sabha, which will now go to Rajya Sabha, primarily we are looking at an integrated long-term port development. So that is the primary thrust of the new bill. It's a concurrent subject, so where central government and state government have to work together. So this bill brings in that framework where there is a possibility of a cooperative and a collaborative development. And other alignment with the international conventions, the MARPOL convention, which is on pollution, and there is a ballast water convention. So this bill brings in the legal provisions that are required for aligning our ports with these legal conventions in terms of the environment safeguards and preparations that are needed. And it also aligns with the FAL convention, which talks about maritime single window. So this new bill will put in place a framework where all the ports work in that maritime single window. Similarly, there are provisions related to Maritime State Development Council and also recognition of the existing state maritime boards legally, and also giving them a set of basic responsibilities and duties. And it also talks about transparency in tariff, so that the users are aware of what is the port tariff. It also talks about emergency preparedness in the ports, safety and security of ports. So it covers whatever are the latest best practices in the legal framework of managing ports and administering ports. So all of that has been brought in this new bill. There is no tariff authority. There is no tariff authority, but it talks about the framework for tariff and the boards which are empowered to fix tariff, and it also talks about publication of the tariff so that there is transparency.
Basically, transparency. Talks about transparency, the need to spell it out upfront. Yeah. No, basically it's a corridor. So what we have found is that in the green sector, you can't have development happening in one port or in one corner of the world without it leading to a corridor where both sides are engaged in the same activity. So you can't have a green corridor unless someone else also does a green corridor. I mean green port. So that's why you have to have a green corridor. So they are interested because they are, of course, like us, they are also deficient in carbon fuels. So we have therefore common interests, and they are a good consumer nation, but they don't have for instance, land to do solar. We have enough land. So, and they are very interested in converting to carbon neutrality. And we can help them do that. Therefore, this corridor makes sense. That is the green one. And the digital, because we think that operations across corridors, green digital corridors, if they are put in place, then it enhances efficiencies. So, like we've done already one with Dubai, the Western digital corridor. Similarly, on the east, that is the idea. On the which project?
On the digital processes.
Digital, for instance, you see, there are customs processes, there is exchange of information, exchange of data relating to the cargo, the goods, the ships, the arrival times, etc. So you have a common platform and you share information, and again that does not have to be filed at the other end. It can be taken from this common platform. So that is example. That's an example. Yeah.
Can we have last one question, sir, as a flight to catch?
Hi, sir, I just want to know when the Vadwan project port will start.
The work of Vadwan port already started.
And the project wise,
the project, the timeline is 5 years. So in 2029, first quarter, the first ship will call on.
you have there is sir mentioned on the last some about JNPT. So what you will give tag when Vadwan port will come?
What?
The tag you said that JNPT, you will just read the thing.
Best.
Yeah.
So it will also be the best performing.
Like no, it will beat JNPA and become the better performing port.
Because that time with two ahead of what that will call like.
See, I mean, that port will definitely have some advantages than JNPA. Because it is an old port now, because 89 also it is the 36 years. Now it is inside city. So there are some challenges in evacuation and other things. That will not be there because that is conceptualized as outside city. DFC is only 12 kilometers. The expressway is only 22 kilometers. So all those advantages that particular port will have. It will be green since inception. Now we are greening JNPU. So definitely because of the time, it is a well placed than JNPU. But we will try to catch up.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Just a couple of questions, one for Mr. Wagh and one for Secretary Sir. Sir, can you tell us more, in your address you mentioned that India is poised to become a hub for green marine fuel. So in terms of actual work that is underway in terms of investments that are required, any timelines you can share on that? And the question for Mr. Wagh, if you can just give us some more details on the phase 2 of PMCT, since it's to be inaugurated now. Thanks.
So green, we've already shared this with the media earlier also. There are 3 hydrogen hubs which are planned in India. One is in Kandla, one is in Tuticorin, and one is in Paradeep. So Kandla has already done the allotment of land, I think 3,400 acres of land for green hydrogen production, and a lot of companies have taken land in Kandla. And you might have seen recent reports in the press about the 1 megawatt electrolyzer being launched. The foundation stone was laid in April, and within 3 months, the Honorable it was inaugurated. The plant was inaugurated. So it will produce about a few hundred kgs of hydrogen. So, but that is the starting point, and many more such electrolyzers and many more megawatts of electrolyzers are likely to be set up. Similarly, Tuticorin, they have also allotted a few hundred acres to several companies, half a dozen companies, including Semcorp, which is a Singaporean company, and being strategically located in the south, they can access the Singaporean market. And of course, Paradeep is also doing some work in this area. The idea, and then we are looking at a green corridor between Kandla and Tuticorin. So developing the corridor, which means we should have bunkering, we should have the necessary fuel availability, the infrastructure for transport, storage, etc. And of course production of the fuel, green fuel, or green methanol, or ammonia. So all this will have to be there in the ports. there will have to be a ship which runs on that fuel, and there will have to be a regulatory framework for that. All this we are developing. There will have to be trained manpower, for which IMU is doing the due diligence, and there will also have to be people willing to use these services. The business has to be ready. So that's why we are talking to Singapore, because they want to use ammonia as blend it with carbon fuels like LNG, and then like up to 30% you can blend it, and therefore you can reduce your carbon footprint. But they cannot produce green hydrogen, so they will use what we are producing. So these are and then of course Western Europe, Rotterdam, they are also interested. So a lot of work is going on.
As far as this second phase is concerned, the first phase is 1 kilometer length of terminal. Now this 1 more kilometer is added. So initially phase 1 is a 2.4 million TEUs, and this one is also 2.4 million TEUs. So total they will have 4.8 million TEUs. So this is almost complete. So next month, Honorable PM of India and Honorable PM of Singapore both will inaugurate this.
राहुल कदम के साथ पंकज विनोंसी की रिपोर्ट, आवाज़ टुडे, JNPA।